This box smells like old shoes and broken dreams, but okay, $5. That's what I said loud enough for the garage sale woman to hear as she laughed behind her coffee cup. The box was falling apart, taped at the corners, covered in dust and old shipping labels. It didn't look special, but I'd promised myself to try new things. After my divorce, everything got too quiet. Not peaceful quiet, just empty quiet. I needed something different, and this neighborhood garage sale was the only thing that got me out of bed on Saturday. "What's inside?" I asked the woman as I pulled out $5. She shrugged. "Whatever my uncle left behind when he died. Could be junk, could be treasure, but probably junk." I carried it to my car carefully and put it in my trunk next to a plant stand I didn't need. I didn't open the box until I got home, not because I was excited, I just forgot about it. Around 2 p.m., I finally cut the old tape with a knife. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Musty, like an old barn mixed with wood chips. I opened it slowly, and then it blinked at me. A pair of golden eyes stared out from the dark corner. A cat, a real, living cat curled up in an old blanket. It wore a loose collar with a tag that read, Oliver. "Oh, man," I whispered. "You were in there this whole time?" Oliver didn't move, just blinked slowly. I reached toward the blanket and he didn't run. After a minute, he let me touch him. His fur was warm. "Okay, Oliver," I said, "we'll figure this out." I gave him water. He drank. I offered him turkey. He sniffed it and turned away. I called the garage sale woman, but she didn't answer. I brought out an old cat carrier my ex-wife had left behind. Oliver went in without fighting. I drove to the local vet's office. The receptionist looked surprised when I set the carrier on the counter. "You found him like that? In a box?" "Bought the box for $5, I replied. "Didn't know he came with it." Dr. Martinez came out 20 minutes later. "Well, he's healthy, a little dehydrated, but nothing serious. No microchip, though." "No chip?" "Nope, just that collar. He's a mystery, but a healthy one. You can take him home if you want." "I'll take him," I said before I could think about it. Back home, I set up an old litter box and cat tree. Oliver explored the house slowly, making a circle from living room to hallway to kitchen. That night, he slept at the foot of my bed, and I slept better than I had in months. The next morning, I found Oliver sitting in the middle of the rug, staring at the box he came in. "What is it?" I asked. I picked up the box and felt along the seams. That's when I found it. A small envelope taped inside. I opened it. There was a photo. An older man in a recliner with Oliver on his lap. On the back, "If you're reading this, thank you for taking care of my boy. He's got a quiet heart, but loves deeply. Arthur." I sat down hard. Oliver jumped up next to me and rested his head on my leg. I hadn't realized I was crying until I felt a tear drop onto the photo. "All right, Arthur," I whispered. "You've got a deal." The next few days were different, not dramatic, just different enough to notice. I found myself talking to Oliver, not in a cutesy pet voice, but like he was a person who didn't talk back. "Looks like rain today," I'd tell him. Or, "I wonder if the neighbor will ever finish painting his shutters." Oliver never responded, but he always looked at me like he understood. He followed me everywhere, always a few steps behind. When I worked at the kitchen table, he sat near the wall. When I did laundry, he lounged on the dryer. When I went to sleep, he curled up at the foot of my bed. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I'd felt that kind of friendship, someone choosing to be around. It made the silence feel less heavy. The garage sale woman called back. Her voice was raspy but friendly. "Hey there, this is Carol. You bought that old box, right? There was a cat in there." Yeah, a live one. Name's Oliver. There was a photo and note from someone named Arthur. Arthur was my uncle. He passed last spring. I never knew he had a cat. Do you want him back? I asked, though I didn't want her to say yes. Nah, if you've got him and he's safe. Sounds like that's what Arthur wanted. One morning, Oliver was sitting by the bookshelf, staring at it like it had upset him. Not hissing or growling, just sitting there with his tail flicking slowly. What's the deal? There's nothing there, I said. He looked at me, then back at the shelf. I crouched down, looking between the books. Most were old novels, cookbooks, dusty photo albums. Then I saw it. A tiny scrap of paper wedged behind some paperbacks. I pulled it free. It was a receipt from a hardware store in a town I didn't recognize, dated about 10 years ago. On the back, in the same handwriting as the note in the box, the memories live where the window used to be. You're some kind of treasure hunt guide, aren't you? I said to Oliver. He blinked again. That evening, I found myself in the garage, looking through boxes I'd never unpacked. There was an old workbench against one wall, some dusty shelves, a half-covered tarp. Nothing about a window until I noticed the drywall near the back wall was different. Painted over, but not with the same texture. I knocked on it, hollow. I got a screwdriver and pried at the edges. The panel came loose, showing a boarded-up window frame. There was a small gap at the bottom. I reached inside and pulled out an old cigar box. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Black and white, sepia-toned, even some Polaroids. All of Arthur and Oliver. Some from when Oliver was just a kitten perched on Arthur's shoulder. Others of them sitting in chairs, on park benches, walking along paths. Some were blurry, but they all had that same quiet closeness. At the bottom was another note. If you found this, then Oliver still trusts you. Thank you. These are our memories. Please let them live. I didn't cry this time, but I did sit on the garage floor cross-legged like a kid and looked at every photo. Later that night, I scanned the best ones and printed copies. I bought small frames from the dollar store and hung them in the hallway. Oliver would pause in front of them sometimes like he remembered. It became a quiet routine. Oliver and I finding small pieces of Arthur's story. Notes tucked into books, scribbles on the back of receipts. Even a message under the lining of an old drawer that said, "Forgiveness is for the living." I started to feel like I was part of something bigger than just adopting a cat. Like I'd stepped into a life that had paused and was now gently starting again. Not just Arthur's story, but mine too. One Saturday, I decided to take Oliver to the park. I carried him in an old bag with the zipper partly open so he could peek out. We sat on a bench near the fountain. An older man with a walking stick paused and looked at Oliver. "Well, I'll be," he said. "That looks like Art's old cat." My heart skipped. "You knew Arthur?" He nodded. Worked with him down at the depot, quiet fellow, had that cat with him all the time. Called him Ollie. "He passed away," I said. I found Oliver in a box of his things. The man smiled sadly. Art always said if he went first, he hoped someone would look after Ollie. Looks like he got his wish. We stayed until the sun started to set. I hadn't felt this connected to the world in years. It was like Arthur had left Oliver not just to be cared for, but to help someone else start over. That week, I noticed a calico stray in my backyard. She was scrappy and quick, always darting behind the rosebush. Oliver noticed her too, watching with quiet curiosity. Every morning, he'd sit at the window and wait for her. So, I left food out. It was gone by the next morning. I did it again, and this time I waited by the window. I saw her come around the corner, nervous, skinny, but sharp-eyed. She stared at the house before approaching the bowl. Oliver didn't move, just watched. A week later, she was sitting on the porch waiting. I named her Luna. Eventually, Luna started coming inside. At first, she only explored the kitchen, but one day I found her asleep in the laundry basket. I took her to the vet, too. Healthy, but had been on her own for a while. No microchip, just like Oliver. Oliver and Luna settled into a rhythm. They had an unspoken understanding. Oliver kept his routines, Luna took to the corners and sunny spots. I started to feel like I had a family again. One Sunday, I visited the library. The same librarian was there, Mrs. Anderson, white hair cropped short, same glasses. "You're Robert Mitchell's boy, aren't you?" "Guilty," I said. "Been a while." "Thought you moved away." "I did, but now I'm back, sort of." I told her about Oliver, just the general shape. She listened with the patience of someone surrounded by books all day. "Sounds like he found you at just the right time," she said. I checked out a few books. At home, I'd sit in the armchair with Oliver on the backrest and Luna on the rug. We'd listen to old jazz records I found at a thrift store. While sorting through a drawer, I found an envelope labeled Arthur's Will. Inside was a handwritten note. "To whoever finds this, Oliver is more than a cat. He's my friend, my family. I hope he brings you what he brought me. Quiet mornings, warm evenings, and a reason to be steady." Arthur Coleman. One afternoon, the doorbell rang. A man stood on the porch, mid-50s, jeans and a work jacket. "Sorry to bother you. Name's Mark Coleman. I was told you might have something that belonged to my father." My heart skipped. "Arthur?" Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. "Yeah." Someone said a man picked up a box with Oliver in it. We sat in the living room. I brought out the cigar box with the letters. Mark read through them slowly, his fingers tightening as he turned each page. "I left," he said when he finished. "Never called, not even when Mom passed. I was angry, he was stubborn. I always thought he didn't care." He tapped the box. "Guess I was wrong." He didn't ask for the box or Oliver. Instead, he asked if he could visit sometimes. After he left, the house felt full in a new way. I started writing in a journal, labeling each note, "For the next soul who needs to find something." Because life wasn't just about what you kept, it was about what you left behind. That spring, something changed in Oliver. He moved slower, sat longer in places, watched the windows more than he watched me. It was like he was waiting for something just beyond the glass. I tried not to worry. He still came when I called, still curled on the couch when I read aloud. But there was a new calmness to him, softer, almost distant. I found another note taped inside a record sleeve. "If this music finds you on a quiet day, listen all the way through. Some things aren't meant to be rushed." I played the Miles Davis record that evening. Oliver lay in the center of the rug, Luna beside the speaker. I just listened. The music filled the house like water, every note deliberate. A few days later, I got a letter in the mail with no return address. Inside was a photo of Oliver as a kitten in a shoebox. A note underneath. "He always liked boxes. Don't let him fool you. He chooses his people." Mark visited again, bringing coffee and pastries. "He's slowing down," Mark said, watching Oliver doze in the sun. "Yeah, I've noticed." My dad once told me Oliver was the only soul he trusted with silence. When Mark left, he placed his hand on Oliver's head for the first time. "You did good, old man. You stayed true." I took Oliver to the vet. Not because anything was wrong, but because I wanted to be sure. "He's getting older," Dr. Martinez said gently. Cats like Oliver carry a lot emotionally. He's a listener. That kind always burns quieter, faster. Is there anything I should do? Just be with him. Keep the routine, keep the warmth. He'll tell you when he needs more. We spent that week doing nothing special, just living. I made soup, played records, wrote notes. Every time Oliver sat beside me, I paid attention. One night, while cleaning, I found a hand-drawn map behind the bookcase. Places were circled in red, lines connecting them. The corner read, "For the wanderer with open eyes." Some spots I recognized, others were new. That night, Oliver lay on my chest for the first time, his head resting near my heart. I closed my eyes and didn't move because I knew that whatever journey was ahead, whatever thread Oliver had carried forward, it was still unfolding. One morning, I woke to the sound of rain. Luna was pressed against my side, Oliver curled at the foot of the bed. The light was gray and gentle, like the world had lowered its voice for something sacred. When I got up, Oliver didn't follow like usual. He stayed on the bed, watching me. I ran my fingers along his back. "I know," I said. "I feel it too." There was something in the air. An end of a chapter. Not heavy or sad, just real. Oliver joined us later, moving slowly, like each step was a thought he had to finish. He climbed onto his favorite blanket by the window and lay down, stretched out like he'd been waiting for this spot, this hour, this rain. I sat on the floor beside him. We stayed like that most of the morning. I just listened. To the rain, to the house, to the small rhythm of Oliver's breath. As the sky darkened, Oliver stirred. He lifted his head one last time and looked at me. That slow blink, that steady gaze, like he saw the whole journey at once. Then he exhaled, not with struggle, but with peace. Luna climbed up beside him and pressed her nose to his cheek. The house didn't feel empty. It felt full. The next morning, I buried Oliver beneath the lilac bush, wrapped in the old quilt he'd arrived in. I placed a smooth stone on top and pinned his collar on the wall beside the map. In the days that followed, I felt him everywhere, in the pauses between things, in the way Luna sometimes watched the window like something was there. Mark came by. We sat on the porch with Luna between us. "I think he knew his time," Mark said. "He did, and he gave me enough time to learn what I needed. Funny, I always thought I'd need years to fix things with my dad, but a few visits to see his cat changed that." Weeks later, I stepped onto the porch and saw a young girl kneeling by the mailbox. "Sorry," she said. "I was looking for a little rock with a line on it." I smiled. "Want to see where it pointed?" I handed her the notebook. "Start here. There's a story and it's not finished." I watched her open it, eyes wide, fingers careful. For the first time since Oliver passed, I felt something return. Not the same as before, but something new, something forward. That night, I played the Miles Davis record again. Did you enjoy this story? What's the best unexpected gift you've ever received? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked the story, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Sometimes when we help others, we end up helping ourselves. Love shared is love multiplied. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.